Good morning, and welcome back to 10-Minute English Cafe. It is Saturday, July 4th, 2026.
Happy Saturday! The cafe looks relaxed today, but the kitchen sounds like a tiny factory.
Exactly. A calm room can still have a lot happening behind the scenes.
Coffee machines, electricity, staff, deliveries, and one person staring at the menu like it is a final exam.
That gives us today's keyword, pressure, spelled P-R-E-S-S-U-R-E.
Pressure is not always loud. Sometimes it hides until the bill gets higher, the line gets slower, or someone sighs near the toaster.
Exactly. Pressure can mean force, stress, or demand pushing on a system.
So today we are not only talking about stress, we're talking about what gets squeezed.
First, we look at how the data center boom may be adding price pressure across the economy.
AI feels like a clean little icon, but somewhere there are buildings, power bills, and very busy cooling systems.
Then, we look at luxury consumers and a possible return to growth.
A different kind of pressure. People still want something beautiful, but their wallet is giving side-eye.
And finally, volunteers rescue a large sea turtle with fishing hooks in its body.
That sounds serious, so I'm holding on to the word rescue.
Before we begin, if you're new here, we turn real news into natural English conversation every day.
With words you can use when you talk about costs, markets, care, and hidden stress.
If that helps your listening practice, please subscribe and join us for 10 minutes. Let's look at what's pressing on each story. Our first story comes from the Wall Street Journal and focuses on data centers.
Data centers are the buildings behind the apps we use, right?
Right. They hold servers, need huge amounts of power, and require cooling equipment.
So AI is not floating in a cloud like a cute weather icon. It needs buildings, electricity, and hardware.
That is the key. The data center boom may be contributing to a new wave of inflation.
Inflation is when prices rise across the economy and everyone suddenly checks the total twice.
The Wall Street Journal points to AI infrastructure spending pushing up prices in areas such as phones, power, and cooling systems.
That is the surprising part. A chatbot boom can still touch the price of physical things.
Yes, one useful phrase is build out.
Build out is the process of building or expanding a system, like adding more rooms to a very expensive machine.
Exactly. When companies build out data centers quickly, they compete for equipment, energy, land, and skilled workers.
And when everyone reaches for the same parts at the same time, something gets tight.
That's supply constraints. It means there isn't enough supply to meet demand smoothly.
Then the pressure doesn't stay in one building, it starts traveling.
The phrase ripple through the economy is useful here.
Like one splash in a cup, then suddenly the table is wet.
Exactly. We should be careful, though. AI is not the only cause of inflation.
Right, it's not the whole story, but it's one more hand pushing on prices.
The other side is timing. Productivity benefits may come later.
So the bill can arrive before the wow, this saved time feeling arrives.
Our second story moves from infrastructure pressure to consumer spending.
I am ready for a softer topic, even if my wallet is still nervous.
Our second story uses Bain's forecast for the personal luxury goods market.
Forecast means a prediction, like a weather report for spending.
Exactly. The forecast says the market could return to 2 to 4% growth in 2026.
That sounds modest, but still a rebound. Not a champagne cannon, more like a careful smile.
Yes, a rebound means a recovery after a weaker period. What is helping it come back? Two important drivers are the Americas and shoppers under 35. Younger shoppers still want something that feels special, even if they choose it more carefully. Right, but the story also mentions price hike fatigue. That phrase is painfully clear. People are tired of watching prices climb stairs. Exactly. So entry-level offerings matter. Entry-level offerings are the more accessible products at the lower end of a brand. Right. They let people participate without buying the most expensive item. Like a small luxury instead of a huge purchase, a treat that does not require a dramatic budget meeting. Yes. Another idea here is a better life mindset. People may still want beauty, quality, or experience when the world feels tense. Sometimes a small, nice thing says, "Today was not only bills." That's the tension. Market pressure doesn't erase desire. It changes the size and timing of the desire. The dream gets smaller, but it doesn't disappear. Exactly. Luxury recovery here is not the same as every consumer feeling comfortable. It's a specific market finding a careful path back, one small luxury at a time. Our final story is more concrete and more emotional.
I am bracing myself, but please give me the careful, hopeful version.
The final story, volunteers rescued a 172-pound loggerhead sea turtle.
That is a large animal. I am imagining the volunteers looking at each other like, okay, teamwork time.
The turtle had fishing hooks in its body, including internal hooks.
Poor thing. Let's keep the focus on rescue, care, and not making the details too heavy.
Absolutely. Volunteers used a special rope device to lift the turtle from a pier.
That sounds like the opposite of rushing. Careful teamwork, step by step.
The turtle was taken for treatment, and care teams planned to remove the internal hooks safely.
The phrase minimally invasive is useful here and also reassuring.
Yes, minimally invasive means using a method that causes less damage to the body than a more aggressive procedure.
So the goal is to help while causing as little extra stress as possible. That feels like pressure handled gently.
Exactly. Another useful word is rehabilitation.
Rehabilitation is recovery care after injury or illness, the slow work after the rescue moment.
The story included the quote, "That's a good sign."
That is simple but comforting.
It suggests there was some reason for cautious hope.
This is pressure in a different form, people staying calm when the situation is urgent.
Exactly. The story also reminds us that everyday objects can create danger for marine life.
And that trained rescuers and care centers can turn panic into a plan.
Today's key word was pressure.
And it did not stay in one neat category.
In the first story, data center build-out added pressure to supply chains and prices. Digital demand became physical cost, which is slightly rude but very real. In the second story, luxury markets showed pressure between price fatigue and the desire for small rewards. People still want better life moments, but maybe in smaller, more careful pieces. In the final story, a sea turtle rescue showed pressure in the form of urgent care and recovery. That one made the word feel very real and much less abstract. So, here is today's question. Which kind of pressure stood out to you? Option A is data centers adding price pressure. Option B is luxury consumers nudging the market back. Option C is volunteers rescuing an injured sea turtle. Tell us in the comments. Take today's word with you. Pressure is easier to understand when we ask where it comes from and who feels it. That's a good question for prices, purchases, and moments when people have to act carefully. If this conversation helped your English, please like, subscribe, and come back tomorrow. Have a good Saturday and notice what's happening behind the calm surface.